It's the cocktail party, which means this. Literally, and I'm not joking, anything can happen.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Locked On SEC Crossover. He is Brandon Olsen, host of Locked On Florida Gators. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I don't know. I'm excited to watch the Florida Gators without Billy Napier. It's been a long time. It feels like it's been decades. It's been 3.5 years. But I'm excited. It just kind of feels like it because since week 2, it was like, all right, he's getting fired. We know it's happening this year. After you lose to USF, it's going to happen. Now I'm excited to just see how this team bounces back without him and to know if this is a very talented roster take is actually insane, or if it was really what I was saying the whole time of coaching needs to catch up to the talent.
That is right. We're going to talk about that. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, FanDuel.com. More on them in a moment. I am Clint, Shamblin, host of Locked On Bulldogs. Together, we are talking about the cocktail party, and I was dead serious when I said, Nicole, anything can happen. So if you've been listening over on our channel, Daniel and I, we got buckets out because it's nerve-wracking. We're going to go through a couple of the things, but that's my first question to you, Brandon. You're excited to see a post-Billy Napier experience, which, by the way, I think if I could be honest, just for a hot second, I want this game to be close and meaningful again. I want the hate of Florida and the hate of Georgia to run deep because it's just good for us and it's good for football. Post-Billy Napier, I think has a chance to get there. As you look at this game, tell us reasons that you have optimism for Florida's chances in this game.
Billy Napier is not the offensive play caller, so that's one. That's got to be the big one. And that seems like I'm taking a shot at him, but I'm being very serious. Where last year, week 1, Miami after the game went, "Oh, we knew what plays they were running. Like it was very predictable." This year, USF defenders came out after and were saying, "We knew what plays were coming." You got outcoached by a G5 coach, so now you'll probably wind up there where you belong. But new play caller, Ryan O'Hara being the guy is very interesting to me, but Billy Gonzales said, hey, I want it to be the guy that has spoken to the quarterback the most, that knows what the quarterback likes, that knows what the quarterback excels at, and so he's going to be the play caller. So I do think that we'll see maybe not this, high-flying, insane offense, but I do think that we see them open up the playbook a little bit because I do know that based on the spring game and based on what we've seen in the offseason, they worked on spreading things out, and then they got to the season, and Billy's like, actually, same old thing, doesn't matter. So I'm looking forward to that, and also Florida does have a new interim coach in Billy Gonzales, who was on the coaching staff the last time the Florida Gators did beat Georgia, and he was also on the coaching staff with Urban Meyer. So I'm hoping that he's someone that obviously knows this rivalry, knows how the hate runs, knows what it's like, and he knows what it's like to beat the Georgia Bulldogs this week.
It's really wild to me if you look back at interim coaches. This is why I'm more mad now, the timing of which. If you were to ask me a month ago, I think Billy Napier being let go, Florida roster having some war of attrition was going to be okay for Georgia. It was going to be good. Now with everything happening in the coaching carousel, Florida's kind of taken a back seat because LSU comes open, which is wild to us. I still think it's LSU and Florida 4-lane. We can talk about that another day, but I do think there are some big things indication. If you don't think he's leaving Ole Miss, I don't know what to tell you. I now hate this spot for an interim coach coaching against Georgia for Georgia because of everything you just described. They're going to be up. They're going to be excited, even if they're auditioning for a new coach or auditioning for an NIL deal somewhere else, or to stick it to Georgia with, like you said, a little bit of juice from previous times. I hate this spot from Georgia. All of a sudden, the line at 7.5 down to 7 is mystifying on paper. It should be 12. It's not. So Vegas knows something that we're talking about right now. And we can call it, but it's the same thing that at the Auburn game, the O'Hare, Jordan Hare Stadium voodoo. It's the same in this because you do have uber talented guys. Offensively, I could just go straight Lagway and Baugh, those guys, I'm not saying this disparaging. Those are some of the best athletes in the SEC. We can talk about football playing, decision-making, sure. But just pure specimens, those are two of the best. Defense is where it turns interesting for me on the Florida side. We're going to talk about that here in a second, but I'm just going to give you react to my optimism for Georgia. And it has to do with one, stopping DJ Lagway. That's what I concerned myself with last year before the injury. We could talk about what would have happened had he stayed in. He's a good player. And if he's on rhythm and making decisions, if he's not having to do 3 reads and not having to stand in the pocket, but rather just flowing, man, it's really tough to beat. I think the bye week does help Georgia a bit, but this just in, I can't tell for certain what offense Florida's going to run. Like, I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I'm not saying that to be cheeky. I literally don't know, Brandon, what they're going to run and how Georgia's going to prepare for it.
Yeah, I think that Billy Gonzales, he said, we want to spread things out a bit more. I don't know if that means we're going to see more 10 personnel, which the fan base has been clamoring for, which I will also say in Billy Napier's defense, he was pretty open, like, hey, we keep a tight end on the field at all times because DJ Lagway will get killed if we don't. He's been very open about it. He's like, we need to be able to have 6 or 7 in protection every play, and we need that. So I will give him credit for that. People didn't like that answer. Why? I don't know. I've watched DJ Lagway get hit a ton of times this year. I know what it's like. And so I do think that you're going to see things spread out. I think you're going to see a lot of quick game. I think that that's going to be the goal. One of the biggest criticisms of Billy Napier's tenure was he's recruiting for a spread, but he's not running that at all. He's running very pro style, 12 personnel heavy. And you've got so much speed in receiver room, but you never see them run deep. You never see them just take quick hitters underneath and get going. I think Billy Gonzales is going to try to do that. Billy Gonzales has pretty openly said that he's reaching back into his little Rolodex of former coaches he's worked with. Russ Callaway used to be an air raid guy. He's the offensive coordinator that is somehow not the offensive play caller after the head coach that was calling plays gets fired. Really interesting decision, kind of an indictment on him there. And Ryan O'Hara also ran a bit of a spread when he was a play caller about a decade ago for Santa Monica College and Alabama A&M, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what we're talking about. Yeah. That's where we're getting that kind of offense.
This is the I'm going to come back in the second because I do want to hear your take on the defense, because there are some metric numbers and the splits between home and away and against Power 5 and against top ranked teams and against non. I mean, it's wild, those splits on the defensive side of the ball. But Daniel said this earlier this week. You want to talk about a first half or a first quarter over? I think there might be 28 points scored in this first quarter. Exactly what you said, speed. And you look at the Ole Miss game, that quick hitting 5-yard out that they just, and you can tell what it is. We're frustrated by the Georgia defense because you have DBs all in a line 12 yards back. It's man coverage, but they're given cushion and they're sending the house. And all they had to do was like, okay, how about I just send it out to a really fast wide receiver and let him go 75 yards? That seems simple. We're frustrated as all get out. All of a sudden, yeah, the guy has he's just pulling out stuff. Let's see what works. That's the sort of thing that gets dangerous. I am excited. I think Georgia's got a chance because our offense. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. But first, these are in fact Mazda. Mazda's fantastic. You need to know that Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how we craft every single model. All-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. You can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. He is Brandon Olsen. I am Clint Shamblin, Locked On Bulldogs, Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're talking this cocktail party, previewing it ahead. Brandon, much has been made, and I'll get to maybe some stats, but I first just want to hear your take on the Florida defense. They've seemed to kind of ebb and flow, a lot of injuries in the back end. Where would you assess this defense today?
I think that it's incredible that for the lack of pressure they get, they've been as good as they've been this year. I do think it's a testament to what Ron Roberts and this defensive coaching staff have done schematically. A lot of talent throughout. But yeah, there hasn't been that elite pass rushing threat. Again, losing Caleb Banks for the year really put a damper in that one because he was the driving force last year. Last year, Caleb Banks broke out and then everybody else broke out off of Caleb Banks breaking out. This year, you don't have that. No one's stepping up as this dominant pass rusher. It's just guys trying to generate a pass rush using exotic rushes, we'll say. Ron Roberts loves blitzing his nickel more than anything else on the planet. And I think that on the back end, it's just guys making good, clean tackles when they're there. But as far as coverage, honestly, I haven't loved it. I think that when you watch the games, you look at USF, probably should have scored more against Florida. They had deep shots. Mississippi State should have beaten Florida. Blake Shapen missed quite a few deep shots.
Yes.
Texas probably should have beaten Florida. Arch Manning missed quite a few deep shots. I will give Florida's pass rush credit on that one, that a few of them were altered by the pass rush. But there have been a lot of deep shots available against this defense so far, partially because of the lack of pass rush, and you can only cover guys for so long.
That's right.
But I also do think that when you have all of the youth, safety play's been awful under Vinny Cincinnati. So that one is, who would have thought that hiring a guy who has 1 year of safety coaching experience to run your unit wouldn't have panned out? He was a running backs coach 2 years ago, by the way, and he's done that for most of his career. So that didn't pan out too well. But that's what you have. And Jordan Castell has taken a step back. Bryce Thornton has taken a step back. Alfonso Allen, great job having 15 tackles. Deep coverage still wasn't there for this team. That was the first time he ever played, and he had 15 tackles. So good for him. But yeah, it's I'm not super impressed with the secondary. I think that they've got some athletes at corner that need to come back, and hopefully you'll get some of those guys back, like Cormani McLean, Devin Moore. Will hopefully get an actual update on them. But this defense has been solid, consistent, not explosive. They don't create those big plays. And they've gotten lucky sometimes, to be honest, but they are really stout against the run.
It is really wild. And Daniel and I actually disagree on this, and maybe come basketball season, we'll do another crossover and talk about this, because as the NIL market shifts to basketball for Florida and putting a lot more eggs in that basket, I actually find it surprising that the Florida football program is still where it is. And it's a testament to the legacy and tradition of the school and what they want. Because if I were to just, again, take what you just said about the defense for Florida, not having good secondary, that's weird to me. And not having a pass rush, that's weird to me. It's just like Georgia. Our secondary this year is young and experienced and loses their eyes everywhere. It's not a good unit for Glenn Schumann. We think it's one of the worst defenses Kirby's ever fielded at Georgia. Pass rush is not there. Guys coming off the edge. And you could talk about transfer portal and war of attrition. Sure. Yes, and yes, and yes. But it's actually the coaching that's really wild to me. Glenn Schumann's taken a step back. Our secondary's huge step back. We thought Ellis Robinson was going to take a step forward a year or two. He has, but hasn't. DeMelo Jones has really stepped in. I think it's wild because this is a cocktail party that doesn't have elite defense on either side of the ball. And that's wild. We can talk about the offense scoring points. I do think Florida has some playmakers, but it's not an elite offense by any stretch of the imagination. And Georgia actually has, metrically speaking, the best passing attack in the SEC, efficiency-wise, yardage and all that. But efficiency-wise, explosive plays with Gunnar Stockton running, and what turnover exceptional rate is so low. So it's really inverted. It feels like the upside down in so much that we're dealing with this game. But man, Brandon, I am missing defense from this game in a big way. Like, Florida is anywhere between ranked 90th to 100th in efficiency on any standard. Third down efficiency. They are stopping only 17% of third downs away from the swamp this year. When I read that, again, going back to the NIL, Florida at home, that swamp, it's a different beast. And it's actually a shame to me because I like when good teams run college football. Florida should be assisting in that. You talked about the coaching decision, the autopsy of Billy Napier's tenure at Florida. The decision to bring on 55 interns as coaches, whatever it was bad. That's what's, I think, if I may, modestly, that's one of the big reasons Florida took a step back, were those bad coaching decisions. And you're seeing it on the field with development.
Yep. I think that he also made some I'll call them questionable decisions this past offseason with the staff, especially. Like I was very vocal that there were quite a few staffers I wanted gone, especially as contracts were expiring. I don't know why Mike Peterson is still the edge coach at the University of Florida. I get it. He's an alum. I would like a good edge coach. I get frustrated when I look at all the edges that have left the University of Florida under Mike Peterson and gotten considerably better. Antoine Powell-Ryland left and had two double-digit sack seasons. Princely Uman then left and had a career year with Ole Miss, which sure, you can talk about the talent around him and constantly being in positions to rush the passer. That's why he left, was because Pete Golding was like, hey, I'll let you rush the passer. And so that was a big selling point. Jack Pyburn, still not a good pass rusher, but has almost doubled his production throughout his entire career through half a season at LSU so far as a pass rusher. It's tough. It's tough to watch guys leave. We have not had that dominant pass rusher here. And Caleb Banks getting hurt does hurt everything else. Brian Taylor Jr. has had his moments as a great pass rusher. He absolutely ruined Arch Manning's life against Texas. But outside of that, Florida hasn't had that pass rush. Georgia doesn't have that pass rush. I don't remember the last time we've been able to say that both of these teams don't have any sort of reliable pass rush, let alone one of these teams not having it at all.
That's right.
But that's where we're at right now. So I do think you'll see probably a lot of points. I also do think that when you talk about like efficiency for Georgia's passing attack, like I always look back to the first couple weeks of the season where I remember you were in the group chat talking about, which this is one time where airing out the group chat's probably acceptable.
Oh yeah.
This is one of those times where that's probably acceptable. But I remember you talking about how they're just throwing a ton of screens and that's it. And it's like, but if you're picking up the yardage you need, like they're incredibly efficient, they're easy completions, extension of the run game. People could talk about it. And I see that on Twitter. I see every fan base complaining about screens, and they're just like, why are we running screens? It's because they work. That's it. Like corners don't know how to tackle anymore. Corners don't want to tackle. They want to cover and make a play on the ball. So you make them not do that. The thing is, Florida's tried that too. They are just the worst perimeter blockers I've ever seen. You might as well have me and Marler out there, like just trying to chase down these corners. You might as well have us out there for it. It's not happening. But I do think that that's an area where if I'm Georgia, like I'm going to go right back to it and say, all right, make the tackle then, especially with these young corners out there. Like you see motion and they get lost. That's it. I think both sides too. I think Florida and Georgia both do that. Like you see motion, guys get lost in it. They forget their assignments and it leads to busted plays. And I do think you'll see a higher scoring game than usual between these two teams. I'm hoping Florida will actually contribute to it now. Not good year offensively for us, but I do think that's going to be much higher scoring. And I kind of hate it because like I know everybody loves offense. I love defense, so I would love to see that. But it is what it's going to be an entertaining game.
Yes, we're gonna be with the buckets and the bottles. We talk about buckets and bottle worthy games. Sometimes you get the bottle at the end to celebrate, the bucket in the middle of the game to go ahead and take all the contents in your stomach and empty it into something respectable. That's what this game feels like. It's going to be a lot of both, and there's going to be highlights to it and there's going to be lowlights to it all the way throughout. It's really wild to me. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about keys to this particular game, give some predictions, but first these. And these are, in fact, Peloton. Peloton's fantastic. You need to get over there right now and check out. It's the future of fitness. Brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. Whether you're running, lifting, cross-training with your favorite instructors, this is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs, tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. He is Brandon Olsen. I am Clint Shamblin, Locked on Bulldogs, Locked on Gators, talking about this cocktail party. One more thing to get through. We talked about the defensive struggles for both units. There is hope that Georgia in the youth movement, there have been a lot of snaps. We're seeing a bunch of guys, Horton on the defensive line, as well as Big Joe, Joseph Jonejane. He's up top and he's getting reps. We love seeing that. Ton of talent for both these squads, which is, again, why it's so weird, because it does come back to coaching. So Glenn Schumann, you want to go take that LSU job? I absolutely am here for it. Big dog, go get you some. And it seems like Brent is the same on the defensive side for some coaching over there as well. Let's talk about this particular game. How do you see this playing out realistically? What do you want the people, Florida fans, Georgia fans, to expect from this game from a Florida perspective?
I think you're going to see a more spread out offense for Florida. I think that they're going to go, hey, DJ Lagway, let's get you some good, clean looks. Hopefully, after, now it's been, or by the time they play, it'll be 2 weeks since the last time he played a game. Hopefully, he's feeling a little bit better. We've seen him as the season's gone on. He's gotten more and more like himself. At the beginning of the season, he was limping around everywhere. And then the past couple of games, you saw him get back to what we saw last year of defenders wrapping him up and him brushing him off and throwing him to the ground. And you kind of see him get back to vintage DJ Lagway, I guess we'll call it, vintage sophomore DJ Lagway. And you get to see that. And I do think that you'll see him kind of get moving a little bit more. I don't know how much he's going to be very involved in the run game at all, but I do think that they're going to try to get him moving and get him less stationary in an offensive or behind an offensive line that it's weird. I don't see them lose a ton of reps. Austin Barber has, Miami gave them hell. Texas A&M gave them hell, but pretty much every other team, all the pressure has come from just unblocked guys with miscommunication up front. And that part terrifies me because I do think, regardless of Glenn Schumann taking the step back, despite being what was the hottest name as the DC to head coach pipeline, I think Kirby will step in and kind of go, hey, light him up. And I do think that you'll be able to. I think you'll be able to find that pressure and be able to generate it unless they've taken some significant strides here. But for me, I think you're going to find an offense that is probably going to be pretty boom or bust. I think that's what we're going to see for Florida, at least.
It seems the same for me as I look at this Florida team. You might get a couple 3-and-outs, but don't sleep on them striking big. Because again, they have the guys to do it, the dudes to do it. And if there's a susceptible defense, we just saw Ole Miss go on the road against the best defense in the country and actually score more points in the first half than Georgia gave up, which is wild to me. This college football, y'all, it's crazy this year. 2025 is one of the craziest years so far. I'm a fan of college football. Like App State went to Michigan and beat them. Like, yeah. Crazy. I get it. I understand. That was a lifetime ago. And this seems like every single week, crazy stuff happens. I do think Florida is dangerous offensively. My question is, Ole Miss was not able to stop Georgia when Georgia got the ball. Every possession they scored. Every single possession they scored. And I'm not saying this as a way to look down and shame Florida, but I just ask it. I kind of expect the same exact thing Saturday against the defense for Georgia's offense to just put up points whenever they want.
I disagree on that as far as whenever they want. I do think that this will be a high scoring game. But I do think that Florida will be able to get at least a few stops. I'm not saying, I'm not saying Georgia's going to have 12. I'm just saying that, I don't think they're going to have, I'm not going to say they're not going to have 43, but I don't think they're going to score as consistently as they did against Ole Miss. I do think that Florida's defense does a good job of putting opponents into somewhat uncomfortable situations on third and long. For me, a lot of it is going to come down to who's going to be healthy in the secondary. I'll tell you this, I'm taking the over in the game. That's one thing I know for damn sure is I'm taking the over in that one.
There will be a lock in this game, and the lock is not the line. The lock is the over.
Yes, that's easy for me. I do think that I'm curious to know what Florida's run defense is going to look like and how quickly Georgia moves off of that if it's not going their way. Because if I'm Georgia, I'm going, all right, if the run game's not working, I'm just going to throw screens and make corners, make tackles.
23% of passing plays early in the season for Georgia were screen games. And when you have Zachariah Branch on the outside, you can go and do that because he's a joystick type player where he's just out there making guys look stupid. I don't care how good Ole Miss is or how bad they are on defense. It's still D1 SEC defensive players, okay? Making them look stupid out there. So it is really interesting to me. Where I'm curious is exactly the run game. I think Georgia has a far improved running game compared to last year. Last year, 12th in the SEC. 90 yards better this year, Brandon. 90. It's huge for me to see that. I think that it'll be crucial for Georgia to keep the ground and pound going throughout the entire game. Here's my another curiosity I have, and here's how I see this game going. Red zone. If Georgia, because Florida, like you mentioned, they have some good points of the defense. When the field gets shrunk, Florida actually bows up a little bit defensively and has a better metric than the rest of the field in the scoring zone. So can Georgia convert those to touchdowns? And just a little heads up, early on the season, Georgia played with their food in the red zone, and the efficiency down there was abysmal. So do we revert back to that, or do we continue accelerating? I think that's going to be the big crucial stop, because if you can stop Georgia a couple times, get field goals out of them, and then hit one play, that's a wash. Georgia can go 120 yards of offense, kick 2 field goals. Florida can do nothing until one big play where a guy misses a tackle. Now it's 7-6. And again, this cocktail party, I do think it's there. Brandon, do you have an official score prediction for this game? You're willing to put your name on something for this game?
Oh man, I hate doing this. I will say that.
Me too, especially for this game. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so give us the most honest assessment of the final prediction that you can give.
Georgia's going to win.
Okay.
It's going to be close just because it gets weird. I do think the interim is an advantage there for Florida. Just because you don't know what the hell you're going to get. And I mean, we've seen teams with interims go nuts this year. You're not going to UCLA it, I think, and just go on a run after that. But I could see this being 35-31. Like I could see it being a close, high-ish scoring game. Like that would be Florida's second highest scoring output of the season, behind only their 55-point game against Long Island. And so I could see it being something like that. I want Florida to win. I think Florida has a chance to win genuinely, but I think that Georgia's going to win this one. I'm saving my my big upset for Ole Miss when Florida beats their ass again.
Oh, I'm just telling you this right now, just so you Locked On family can understand. The Locked On Gators and Locked On Bulldogs are in unison on that one, 1,000%. Look, if DJ Lagway is honestly healthy and there's no residual, this game is 35, 38, 31, 30. Like that is the score. I think it comes down to a late touchdown, and I'm just going to trust Mike Bobo, Gunnar Stockton, and this offensive line that, as the last 2 weeks, has been absolute nails. And so I trust them where I don't trust other things in this game. That's where I'm going to. There's so many question marks. There's so many unknowns. I'm going to go to the known commodity, Gunnar Stockton, and this offensive line, and Mike Bobo to win in a close one in the 30s. If DJ Lagway is a little banged up, that's where I think Kirby just says, milk the clock, run it down their throats. We go for 275 on the ground, and we just say, we're going to score it at will and know that we're not going to be able to do anything else on the other side. But I expect them to be healthy. All indications are there. Hey, Locked On Bulldogs, go check out our man, Brandon Olsen, for all this week. Listen to him, get him going. If you want to know the Florida insight, he's got lots of connections, lots of good insights. Really appreciate him. This has been Locked On crossover edition for this week's cocktail party. Come on back. You're going to be doing an overreaction show on Saturday. Is that correct?
Immediately. Once it hits 0, I'll be either very happy or destroyed.
So Florida fans, come hate watch us if we're destroyed. Georgia fans, go hate watch Brandon. And then come back and watch the joy that are on our faces if that is there. For Brandon Olsen, this is Locked On Bulldogs, Locked On Gators, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'll see you guys later.